It is my great pleasure to pay tribute to the recipients of the 2020 and 2021 Lifetime Achievement Awards of the American Society of Missiology. The Lifetime Achievement Award represents the highest honor we give for a senior missiologist who has made important contributions to the field. The recipient of the 2020 Lifetime Achievement Award is Professor Dr. Angeline Dries, OSF, Professor Emerita at the St. Louis University Department of Theological Studies. Angie is one of the leading historians of North American Roman Catholic missions. Her work has been groundbreaking in multiple ways: the history of the Maryknoll movement, the history of Catholic women missioners, the history of North American religious, and the history of spiritual practices among North American Catholics. One of the most important features of Angie's work is that it bridges missiological and historical concerns. It grounds North American Roman Catholic mission practices in the wider history of global Catholicism. I can still remember reading her early work in manuscript and being struck by the freshness of interpretation and the detail to archival sources that it combined. Dr. Dries is a superb writer, and so her depth of perspective is matched by the accessibility of her work. The wide respect with which she is held as a bridge figure between Catholic history and missiology is that she has served as president both of the American Society of Missiology and the American Catholic Historical Association. Another of Angie's signature contributions to the field of mission studies was her chairing of the American Society of Missiology series from 1999 to 2011. Now, editorial work is hard slogging behind the scenes, and Angie has excelled in editorial service. Thus, we owe to her some of the excellence in our series of books endorsed by the ASM. Although there is much more to be said about Dr. Dries, I would be remiss if I did not mention her sunny and generous personality and her all-round reliability and competence. The American Society of Missiology is honored to present the 2020 Lifetime Achievement Award to Professor Angeline Dries, OSF. As I turn to the 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award, this next candidate for award needs no introduction: Professor Dr. Stephen Bevins, SPD, the Louis J. Lutz-Batak, SPD, Emeritus Professor of Mission and Culture at the Catholic Theological Union. A former missionary to the Philippines, Steve's classic works are required reading in all our courses in mission studies. They include Models of Contextual Theology, Constance in Context, a Theology of Mission for Today, co-authored with Roger Schrader, the edited series New Directions in Mission and Evangelization, Prophetic Dialogue, Reflections on Christian Mission Today, also with Roger Schrader, and in 2018, Essays in Contextual Theology. These aforementioned works, as famous as they are, do not capture the breadth and depth of his contribution to mission studies. Dr. Bevins is an ecumenist and dialogue partner with scholars of many different theological and cultural traditions. He both walks the walk and talks the talk of intercultural mission engagement. He is a widely sought speaker at major events around the world. In terms of service to the profession of missiology, Steve has served as president of the ASM, president of the Association of Professors of Mission, editor of the journal Mission Studies, and representative of his religious community and of Roman Catholicism on numerous international commissions, including the Commission on World Mission and Evangelism of the World Council of Churches. A giant in the field and a model of gracious faithfulness and friendship across boundaries, Professor Stephen Bevins is the recipient of the 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award of the American Society of Missiology. I'm sorry we cannot be together to honor these two stellar people in person, but I ask you to join me in lifting a glass to and saying a prayer for Angie and Steve.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Professor Dana Robert, for your introduction, and thank you to Professor Arun Jones and the committee who brought forth my name. It is with great joy and quite a large dose of humility that I accept the 2020 Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Society of Missiology. My academic and personal life would not have been the same without the people I've come to know and treasure through ASM. Dr. Gerald Anderson was instrumental in directing resources that enabled me to write my first book, Missionary Movement in American Catholic History. Dana, John Bonk, and Darrell Whiteman are just a few of the members who made a difference in my life and scholarship. One consistent ASM focus has been to relate missiology to other scholarly disciplines. I've attempted to open missiology as a resource and interpretive framework for students and faculty to examine other dimensions of history. On this point, Steve Bevins and Professor Roger Schroeder spoke with our Department of Theological Studies at St. Louis University, and their topic was their ASM series book, Constants in Context, A Theology of Mission for Today. A faculty panel shared insights about their discipline in relation to biblical, theological, and historical methods of mission. For several faculty, this was the first time they engaged their topic with mission. As my final word, I thank each of you for the contribution you are making to mission studies, in whatever form that takes. Peace and all good.
Hello, everyone. I just don't have the words to thank the American Society of Missiology for this Lifetime Achievement Award that you have given me this year. I'm thrilled to be able to receive it with Angie Dries, and I am just so grateful to President Arun Jones and the board of directors of the ASM. ASM has been really, for me, my main intellectual stay. It's just been a pleasure and a privilege to be with you all. In addition to mentioning thanks to Arun and to the board, I'd also like to mention two other very significant people who have helped me in ASM. The first is Larry Niemer, my great mentor, who now is in Australia. He was instrumental in getting me to the ASM in the first place. And then secondly, to Darrell Whiteman, who had enough confidence in me to ask me to be one of the associate editors of Missiology back in the late 1980s and through the 1990s. Most especially, I think, though, you, members of ASM, are really my greatest award. And I want to thank you all for being for me and with me, becoming friends, becoming inspirations for my life, for my scholarship, for my teaching. So again, words can't express what I want to say. I can only say thank you.
I'm Darrell Whiteman, publisher of the American Society of Missiology. Since 2012, the American Society of Missiology has been giving a book award for excellence in missiology. This award recognizes significant contributions to the field of missiology and is noted for how it will affect how mission studies are examined, understood, and interpreted. Here's how the process works. All members of the ASM are invited to nominate a book for consideration. We trust that members don't nominate their own book, however. The Board of Publications then takes that list and ranks them. The final decision is made by the book review editor, David Fenrick, and myself as the ASM publisher. This year, we had 11 really good books nominated, written by authors who are members of the ASM and written by authors who are not. Last year, when we canceled the ASM annual meeting, we still gave the ASM Book Award for Excellence in Missiology. It went to Mark Charles and Soong-Chan Rah for their book, Unsettling Truths, the ongoing dehumanizing legacy of the doctrine of discovery, published by InterVarsity Press in 2019. And here is their book. Jeff Crosby, the publisher of IVP Press, says, together, Charles and Rah put in nearly a decade of research, 3 years of writing, and another year of editing Unsettling Truths. Unsettling Truths, he says, is an unsettling book because it challenges its readers to evaluate what we have long been taught and perhaps blindly accepted regarding American history and our country's notion of exceptionalism, and forces us to consider an entirely different point of view. Mark Charles is a Navajo and Dutch descent. He's a speaker, a writer, and a consultant on the complexities of American history, race, culture, and faith. He and his family live in Washington, D.C. Soong-Chan Rah is a professor of church growth and evangelism at North Park Theological Seminary in Chicago. This year's ASM Book Award for Excellence goes to Greg Okeson for his book, A Public Missiology. And here is his book. A Public Missiology, How Local Church Witness to a Complex World. It's published by Baker Academic in 2020. Greg is Professor of Leadership Development, Mission and Evangelism, and Dean of the E. Stanley Jones School of World Mission and Evangelism at Asbury Theological Seminary, and he's presently serving as the interim provost. His book, A Public Missiology, was also recognized as one of the 10 outstanding books in mission studies, intercultural theology, and world Christianity by the Overseas Ministry Study Center, and that announcement was made in the April 2021 issue of the International Bulletin of Mission Research. It also received Christianity Today's 2021 book in the Missions and Global Church category. So it's a great book, and many others recognize it as well. Now, the field of public missiology is really a growing field in recent years, and this book brings, in my mind, needed definition and application of this important concept and topic. George Hunsberger, a long-standing member and leader in the American Society of Missiology, writes, and I quote, "In this book, Greg Okeson provides a bold signal that a new movement in mission thinking is underway. Public missiology means that the identity, practices, and witness of the church cannot remain the same once we have recognized fundamentally the gospel of Jesus Christ is a fully public announcement." Okeson combines a keen sense of the public life of ordinary people, a rootedness in the best traditions of mission theory and practice, and a deep commitment to the local congregation as a community of witness to the purposes of God. This book speaks to what ails us, he says, and welcomes us to a powerful new journey. So we congratulate Greg Okeson as this year's recipient of the ASM Book Award for Excellence in Missiology. We now come to the final award. That is the Graduate Student Award. Chris Whiteman, a graduate student in the E. Stanley Jones School of World Mission and Evangelism at Asbury, is the winner of the 2020 Graduate Student Paper Award. Her paper, titled Eucharistic Interdependence, explores biblical and theological arguments for support raising. It will be published later this year in Missiology. Now, this is an annual award for the outstanding paper presented at the ASM meetings by a graduate student. Now, in addition to a nice plaque, the winner also receives $500, which I think probably most graduate students could certainly use and certainly welcome. So we congratulate Chris Whiteman for winning this award, and we want to encourage graduate students who are presenting this year to submit their paper for consideration of the Graduate Student Paper Award. This concludes the American Society of Missiology Annual Awards for this year. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, ASM, for awarding Unsettling Truths with the 2019 Book Award for Excellence in Missiology. Mark and I are greatly honored, and we take very seriously the impact and distinction offered by this award to the study of missiology. We are thankful that you allow us to stand with this great company of thinkers and activists who seek to more fully express God's kingdom work. Thank you for this great honor.
I also want to thank you for the honor of receiving this award for our book, Unsettling Truths and its Excellence in Missiology. Before I say anything else, I want to acknowledge I'm speaking to you from what's now known as Washington, D.C., and these are the traditional lands of the Piscataway. I want to honor the Piscataway as the host people of these lands and thank them for their stewardship of them. My father told me stories about my grandfather, who served as a translator for the early missionaries who came to our Navajo people. He helped translate some of the Bible into Navajo as well as many of the hymns. And once a month, the missionaries, the white missionaries, would have a strategy meeting where they would discuss what they would be doing over the next month. And at this meeting, they sat in a room around a table, and the Navajo translators, my grandfather included, would sit along the wall in chairs. And my grandfather would come home so frustrated from those meetings because he was not allowed to speak. He was not allowed to give input into how the gospel would be presented to his people. And he would be frustrated by that. And so as his grandson, to have written a book titled Unsettling Truth about the doctrine of discovery, and to have that book be recognized for its significant contribution and noted for how it will affect mission studies and how they are examined, understood, and interpreted is deeply honoring and even humbling. I accept this award not only on behalf of myself and Sungchan, my beloved co-author and great friend, but we accept this award on behalf of my grandfather and many others like him, and recognize them for their significant contribution, and note how their efforts affected mission studies and will impact how they are examined, understood, and interpreted. Ahiahat ASM, thank you for this honor, and thank you for this opportunity to share this short story with you. Hakonet.
Well, greetings. My name is Greg Okeson, and I'm deeply grateful and honored for this book award from you, my esteemed colleagues. I'd like to thank Baker Academic and Jim Kinney, and particularly to my dear friends in the Public Missiology Working Group. I think with all that we've seen this past year in the West and around the world, a global pandemic, horrific acts of racism that we've witnessed here in the United States, with an incredibly contentious political scene being played out certainly physically, but also through social media. I think the need for a public missiology is as great as ever. And I sincerely hope that this book contributes to that discussion, and especially the role that local congregations play in that. But my hope would be that more research and writing would take place in the field of public missiology in the years to come. So I'm deeply grateful to you, and I thank you.